And I think it's important to note that when these negotiations initially started at the start of the year, they were pointing to a much lower figure, around 3.5%, but this has now come up quite a bit. And I think it's also interesting to note that there are certain companies out there that are responding to labor unions by basically responding with an even higher wage than what has been requested, which indicates that some of these companies are really eager to raise wages in order to attract good talent into their companies.
But isn't it a little bit slanted? Because primarily speaking, we've had 30% thereof in terms of the Rengo participation in this. The Rengo is such a small subset of the overall workforce. And because it's manu heavy, because it's the big firms that have already agreed to these negotiations, it sort of tilts it one way, because they're obviously the beneficiary of exporting goods. So they're getting paid in US dollars, for example, and they're bringing it back in yen. So they've got the tolerance in order to increase these wages. And then the cost base of the companies that don't have that kind of a tolerance in the services sector and all of the other sectors, doesn't that become a problem unless Kishida-san and et al. In terms of the cabinet say, hang on, we're going to provide massive subsidies for these small firms in order to increase wages?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I would say that, on the one hand, I think you need to focus on the fact that wages are coming up, albeit they're coming at a gradual pace. But I think it's important to note that if we're looking at size and scope, historically, we are reaching 30-year highs. Now, obviously, the large cap exporters are going to be the first ones to benefit, given the weak yen is helping their bottom lines. And as a result, they're able to pay more for wages. But there is a trickle down effect in this economy, where if the large caps begin at this pace, and we should see this coming down into the small to mid-sized space. I would also add that what you were talking about earlier with regards to Mr. Kishida and his cabinet, this government is very eager to get large cap companies to respond to smaller cap companies' negotiations to pass through costs. And this is something that we are seeing increasingly across our strategies investments, where more companies are able to pass through costs a lot easier than before, basically.